Hi there. Today's discussion is about what degrades emotional safety in relationship and how to restore it. And before I get rocking and rolling here, I'm just going to share this live in a couple of places. So thank you for your patience with that. This is Shauna White, Heartfelt Intimacy Coach, helping people who want to show up fully for love to create heartfelt intimacy that flows naturally in their relationship. And I am, oops, let me see, sharing the live now. One moment. Thank you for your patience. Okay. One moment. Almost there. Okay. All right, we're ready to go. Thank you very much. So, what degrades emotional safety and how to restore it? Sorry, wait a minute. I actually have some notes here. Here we go. Okay, so what, first of all, do you think of when you think about emotional safety? What do you need for emotional safety? And I've asked this question in a Facebook post in the past, and a lot of times people say that they need their partner to listen, they need their partner to be honest, and those are very true, very natural. Some other things that are important for emotional safety or that get in the way and start to degrade emotional safety that we might not think of right away, actually, but they come up. So, one is if something is not resolved and it keeps coming back up again, it can give you a feeling like if you've talked about it with your partner and you think that it's over, it's done, and you can move on. But then next time something comes up that resembles it, if your partner brings up the past again, that can make you feel like you feel unsafe because you feel like you can't trust that you've actually worked something through. When you think you've worked something through with your partner, it looks like it, but then it comes back to haunt you. And so, this is another form of, like, when people say that honesty is one of the things that they need for emotional safety. This is similar. It's not that in this case the partner is lying, but the feeling that you know what's going on, that you know how healthy your connection is with your partner, that you know that things have actually been worked through, and then you find out that they haven't. It's very disconcerting, and it does develop a lack of trust, that the way that you both show up together has the capacity to create resolution and peace and connection, which we need. When a challenge comes up, that's okay that challenges come up, but we need the tools to be able to actually resolve that challenge in a truly effective way and come back to connection and communication and mutual growth together on the other side of that challenge. So when something that you thought was resolved comes back, um, it really undermines the trust to feel safe that you have that healthy work it through connection. Another thing that degrades, sorry, the little ladybug came out of nowhere and it's crawling around on my desk. Just moved it over a little bit. Okay, so another thing that gets in the way of emotional safety is if your partner gets upset when you try to talk about something. And I'm saying all of these from the point of view of if your partner does it, but it really goes both ways. Like if you get upset when your partner wants to talk about something with you, that's going to make your partner feel unsafe. But we'll talk about it from the point of view of if your partner's doing it, because that's easier for you to connect with, that how it works, that the unsafety feeling. So if your partner gets upset when you try to talk about something, or they react instead of communicate, then it's scary. It becomes scary to share things that are already difficult to share in the first place. Like the depth of honesty that creates um, real intimacy is scary honesty. It's scary when things are good because we all struggle. We're all somewhere on the journey of discovering how worthy of love we are. And we all start from a place of feeling unworthy of love. And so there's layers to self. The outer layer of self is the self that we've developed that to be lovable and to be more worthy. And the inner layer of self is the part of us that we haven't turned into the lovable thing. It's just who we are, our naked self. I don't know if you can relate to this. I wonder if you can. If you can relate to this, and put hashtag naked self in the comments, please. Um, I'll tell you a little bit about my own experience so you know what I'm talking about. Um, I, as a younger person, I believed that I actually felt this flat, plain, loveless feeling in the core of myself, deep, deep, deep down. Like that was the deepest thing that I knew how to feel inside me, felt flat, and I didn't feel any love there. And I felt like, oh God, that's the native self. That's who I really am under the surface, without all the trappings and the things I've added, the things I've learned, the things I do that make people like me. Um, Whatever, you learn that in grade school and high school, that you do what the teacher wants you to do, and then you get good grades. And however your family life might be, you can also reinforce that idea that you do things in order to be loved. When you don't do the things other people like, then they get upset with you, or they treat you in a way that doesn't feel very loving. And so you start to get this idea that the things that I do are what make me lovable. And then I have also this feeling inside, which everyone has if you go deep enough inside, before you understand how to connect with the energy of divine love in the core of your being. If you go and feel your inner core, you won't feel any love there, because because the connection with divine love is missing. So that's what I was feeling, and it made me feel like if anyone knew who I really am inside, they would just turn away and leave. They would just see that I'm a nothing, and they wouldn't love me anymore. So it's hard to share what you feel deep down on the inside with your partner, because that part of you is scared. It's scared that your partner, if you share who you really, really are, that the feeling that connects to the core of your being, any feeling that comes up that really you feel deeply, if you share it in a vulnerable way with your partner, and your partner rejects you when they hear it, that's really painful. Whereas if they reject your outer self, it's not that much, it doesn't hurt as much, because it's not the real you. It's the things that you've added to yourself, the trappings that you've built to be lovable. And if they don't like that, then you can change that, or maybe you don't change that, but it doesn't hurt as much as if you share from the core of your being something really vulnerable, and your partner judges you for that. That really hurts. So vulnerable honesty, actually sharing from the depth of yourself, is scary even when things are great with your partner. So if your partner gets upset when you try to share something that's scary to share, that makes it unsafe to share something that's scary to share. So that degrades emotional safety. If your partner says harsh things to you, now you feel like, this is not a safe place to be. I can't let out my vulnerability, because it even hurts to be with my partner when I'm not vulnerable, because he or she says harsh things to me, and that like cuts to the bone. if your partner harms him or herself when things get difficult, either emotionally self-flagellating or even actually takes a physical action, and hopefully this is not something that you experience, but if it is something that you experience, that can impact and degrade your sense of emotional safety. You may feel that you can't share honestly the difficult things that you really need to talk about because you're concerned that your partner is going to do something uh, that could hurt him or herself. So that's another completely different way that emotional safety can suffer. And also, if your partner says things that they don't mean, from whatever emotion motivates them to do that, that's really unsettling, because then how do you tell what your partner really, what they really feel? If they say something that they don't mean, did they not mean it, or did they really mean it, but when they're not as emotional, they don't let it out? So that's another place where you can get like, ooh, I don't really know what's going on. And that feeling of, I don't really know what's going on, I don't know what the truth is very unsettling and degrades emotional safety. So there's a lot of examples that I don't know if you thought of. Maybe you did. But anyway, there's a lot of examples of how emotional safety gets degraded in a relationship. And here's the challenging part. Those communication dynamics are rooted in subconscious defense mechanisms. So they're not so easy to change. So if some of that is coming up in a relationship that you're in with someone that you dearly care for, and you want to improve the relationship, one thing to be aware of is that subconscious defense mechanisms are ways that we learn to protect ourselves when the beep hits the fan, or when something happens that's uncomfortable for us in our relationship or in our situation. And those defense mechanisms have deep roots. They go to possibly to childhood, or to other peak experiences, peak not so great experiences, possibly traumatizing experiences that have taught us something at the level of emotional learning. They've taught us something that we believe is true about reality, and we believe it not at the conscious level, we believe it at the subconscious level. So even if we consciously work on communicating in a way that's that cultivates emotional safety, when we get triggered, we're going to go back to these subconscious defense mechanisms, these dynamics that are deleterious to emotional safety in the relationship, but we're going to do it as a knee-jerk reaction because our subconscious is the domain of our mind that is the emotional learner and the energetic learner. And we can't change that intellectually. So, so when we have our conscious wherewithal, because we're in a more peaceful place, we can do things the way we consciously choose to do them. But when we get triggered, what happens is the conscious mind gets sidelined, actually, and the subconscious mind takes over. And so that's the point where our subconscious defense mechanisms are going to come into play. And so, in order to develop emotional safety in the relationship, we need to find a way to teach the subconscious that reality is actually safer than what we previously learned. And the key to doing that successfully is to develop an inner relationship with the energy of divine love. And the reason why is because divine love, I'm going to tell you something now that you may or may not have any experience in. I help people to find how to connect with divine love so they can have experience with this. So my clients do have experience with this, and you might have experience from your own walk. Perhaps you found a way to connect with divine love, or you've had some experiences. But if you haven't, this might sound a little bit like a fairy tale, but I want you to know that everyone who does successfully open a connection with divine love inside does experience this. So it is factual, but you'll have to experience it firsthand to know it for yourself. The energy of divine love it creates a feeling of peace and a feeling of ease. It creates when you connect with divine love, you know that you are loved. So the secret fear that you're going to be found as unlovable goes away when you connect with divine love in the core of your being. Because remember, I was talking about that flat, unloved feeling that I had in the core of my being. When I open the connection with divine love, that changes. It no longer feels flat and like love is missing. Instead, it actually feels full of love. And I feel that I am loved because I am love itself. So that's what the feeling of connection with divine love creates. Now, it's normal that we don't hold that. Even when we know how to connect to that, we don't hold it all the time. However, developing that connection gives us a sense of an ability to align with love. And because love is a harmonizing, peace generating force of its nature, even less intense ways of aligning with love, because there are many levels, and I help people walk through all of them, allows the subconscious to discover a safety that's missing when we're not connected with divine love. When we don't know how to feel that energy, the subconscious feels, or we feel, alone to survive on our own without the guidance of this love energy showing us, number one, that we are loved, and number two, what is the right movement for us in each moment that feels right in our being. When we have those two things, that we feel connected with love inside and we feel how to feel what's right for us, we're okay. We're safe. And so the way to cultivate emotional safety in a steady, stable way in your relationship is to develop your inner relationship with divine love, and then to develop the communication skills that lean on that inner connection for how you come to the relationship. It changes when you develop that connection. It changes the way you connect to your partner, the way you communicate with your partner, and it also changes the way you sort through challenges. Because when you don't have this interconnection with love as your North Star for how to be balanced in yourself, and you're just out there trying to be balanced without it, then what you what you anchor to for your balance is your comfort zone. But if your partner does something that makes you uncomfortable, now your comfort zone is rattled. And so now it's your partner's fault, right? But from your partner's perspective, it's your fault because you're trying to control them, because you're trying to make them fit with your comfort zone, right? And it goes the other way too, where your partner's trying to stabilize with his or her comfort zone, and then you do something that doesn't fit with the comfort zone, and now you're wrong in their eyes, but they're wrong in your eyes because they shouldn't be controlling what you're doing, right? So it's important for people to feel free and free of being controlled. And yet, how do we do this dance together? Well, it's this push and pull of, hey, you made me uncomfortable and now I feel upset. That never goes away in the normal way of going about relationships. That's just an ongoing struggle. And depending how it goes, emotional safety will suffer. But when you introduce connecting with divine love as the foundation for how you want to show up in your relationship, that creates a stability inside you where you feel a certain level of peace that's coming from your inner connection to love and your awareness of what's right for you. And you now don't depend on your partner to protect your comfort zone, because your comfort is actually coming from your inner connection with love. Now you can show up for really beautiful, rigorous working through challenges and actually really resolving them, because it's not about keeping the comfort zone piece. It's about what is in alignment with love for me and for my partner. I want my partner to also feel free to be aligned with love. And what is our alignment together? What is love opening up for our journey of how we walk together? And that allows you to actually build a strong foundation for emotional safety that just continues to get stronger through time as you develop your interconnection and how you connect to your partner through that interconnection, and also your mutual understanding of how that whole thing works, so that if something does happen that makes you uncomfortable, you're able to resolve it in terms of, okay, where did I get off track from my interconnection with love? Where did my partner get off track from my interconnection with love? What came up from the subconscious that kind of messed with me and made me forget how to be in that stable place inside myself? And then from that stability, now you can actually hear your partner share honestly and receive it in a place where you feel stable, allows you to be gentle, allows you to listen to understand instead of react. So, excuse me. So developing this interconnection with the spiritual energy of love, it is a spiritual energy that you have the natural equipment to connect to in the core of your being, is a huge key to creating the inner stability, that upon that inner stability, you can now show up in your relationship with gentleness, peace, and kind of an even keel and a compassionate nature that allows you to build emotional safety that doesn't degrade. You start to layer the bricks of a really strong foundation that your emotional safety in the relationship blossoms in. So I wanted to explore this deep dive in emotional safety and how it connects to subconscious defense mechanisms, and what the opportunity is for how to actually heal those subconscious defense mechanisms and teach your subconscious, parent your subconscious with your interconnection with love energy, because that interconnection is energetic information, and that's the subconscious speaks an energetic language. Emotion is energetic. So anyway, that is what I want to share about emotional safety. And if you feel like emotional safety is something that you're struggling with in your relationship, and you appreciate what I've shared about how to connect with the energy of divine love inside, and you can see how that is an essential key to bringing emotional safety to higher, stronger levels in your relationship, and that's something that you would like help with, then please just send me a private message and let's have a conversation about what's going on in your relationship and how you can make a positive shift and find how to connect with divine love and integrate that into your communication skills in your relationship, so that you can have a beautiful relationship, that all the richness of personal growth and feeling loved that are the natural fruits that come when you have all the pieces together to build that emotional safety in your relationship. All right, thank you so much for being with me today, and I will talk to you soon.